Okay, welcome to the show, Dr. Judy, and it is Merry Christmas to you.
Merry, Merry early Christmas, Dr. Omandi. How are you?
Good. Yeah, but I, life is stupid. With the incident that we are having here,
Mm-hmm.
uh, another young lady lost her life at 31 years old. Tracy Nyanchama Nyeriki in Delaware
Mm-hmm. In
was
Delaware.
brutally murdered by a man called somebody Norbert Omote Matara. I don't know about this name Matara that it came up in Kenya sometime with a very bad innocence. So this is a story which just occurred, and I would like you, before you comment, Dr. Judy, I would like you to listen to this clip about the incident.
Remains
Okay.
inside a car after a days-long search that spanned 2 states.
And authorities were alerted by the victim's employer after she failed to show up to work.
Action News' Toronto Thomas just spoke with neighbors in the victim's apartment complex. She's live now from the Newcastle County Police Department with the latest on this investigation and what they found today. Toronto.
Well, this is still an active investigation for Newcastle County Police. They are looking to the public for tips, but they think they have their man, a man who is now accused of a disturbing crime.
I know it's a very horrible.
Okay, that is the incident which occurred. So what have you heard so far about? We have two people here. That is the lady Nyariki, Tracy Nyariki, and Norbert Matara. Looks like they were acquaintances before. If you have seen this in social media, Tracy Nyanchama Nyariki was a nurse in Delaware, and Norbert is the killer here. So, what have you heard, Dr. Judy, about this case?
I've had very disturbing details about this case. So, number one, how did the discovery of the body, the dismembered or the cut up body of this young lady. So what I've heard is they were the where she worked, they reported that she had not shown up for work for days. That's how they were, they alerted the police. So the police decided to go and pay a courtesy call at the lady's building. And what happened was somehow they made a connection that, there was an alleged boyfriend or, an acquaintance who is the Matara guy that we're talking about. So then they decided to do a worldwide chase of her car and his car, and of course traced him to some place where they found body parts in his car, and he was ultimately arrested. So my big thing is, how does that even happen?
Yeah, it is amazing how it looks like when you look at social media. It looks like these are the people who had known one another, and there are some unreliable, unconfirmed sources says that Tracy Nyanchama had gone home in November, and it's believed that he had he was formalizing some traditional marriage with another guy. That is unconfirmed reports. We tried to confirm that. Probably they were like acquaintance before, and maybe the man Norbert Matara was jealous about this. That is why it looks like Matara went to her house, an apartment, killed her, put her in the car, and they dismembered her bodies. Was in the process of going to dispose the money, maybe because they put an amber alert, and they was still weighing where to throw because he had gone to Maryland with the body. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you know what? I mean, what I see, or what I've gathered too is the fact that she she apparently she was in Kenya, and she had a traditional wedding not long ago, and these are unconfirmed sources, but they just say that she was in Kenya, just came back from Kenya in November. So so is this a case of this guy was jealous of of her, and decided, hey, you know what, if I can't have you, nobody else
Nobody
will.
will have you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a kind of what we call morbid jealousy. I think
Mm-hmm.
a man was jealousy. Looks like it had some jealousy undertone in it, that he was trying to break even, that we go loss game, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
probably looks like that. Now, what can you advise young ladies and other people who might be in such a situation, or what are some of the tips to see some of the dangers like this?
One thing I'm going to tell you is, for me, what it looks like, if you've had a relationship and this person has a history of abuse, this person has, if you have any red flags whatsoever, make sure you secure
Mm-hmm.
your doors. Make sure this person does not have access to you. Make sure that you're not entertaining or encouraging a relationship after you've broken up, because most of the time when you leave is when these things are going to happen. So for any ladies out there, what I would say is, just be on the alert, because jealousy is one of the biggest things that that leads to homicides like this. And you're right. I mean, they must have looked through the CCTVs,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how they probably gathered that, she was, somebody had accessed her apartment, and yeah, and I think that's why they decided to track him down. So yeah,
Yeah,
very interesting.
but it's really becoming, and particularly we are concerned about Kenyan men and women in the diaspora. We are having this incident, and they are becoming too much. I don't know whether I'm obsessed with the Kenyans, maybe other communities they are. But what would you say? What is really going on? Recently, we were on the show here talking about another young lady who went to Kenya and was found murdered.
And was found murdered. And I'll tell you, there's a power struggle, there's a power strife here in the United States, because a lot of the time, the most lucrative jobs are healthcare jobs. So what happens is, when somebody goes to, when people come here, they decide to go to nursing school, for example, and maybe the husband is an accountant, or does something else aside, that's not healthcare related. Sometimes the women become the top earners in the home, and a lot of men may not really want to relate to that. That, she's a top earner, and now she has a say. So then there's that power struggle. This lady, remember, she was a nurse. We just see her white cap there. So she was a nurse. What did Norbert do? One thing that we realized is, he had a job. He had a job, probably back in Kenya, and when he came here, I mean, he's not really been living a very straightforward life. There's a lot out there, and I don't want to discuss his history, but looks like he wasn't doing
He had
well.
a troubled. Looks like he had a troubled profile, but it looks like somebody who was working in the Nyamira County, according to the profile.
Yes,
I saw like where it was addressing. Looks like somebody who was working before. So yeah,
yes,
he
looks
got.
like he had a position in
Yeah,
in.
but then you have raised a very good point in about this issue of who's earning more, and I've had many people say that when a man is earning more, there's peace in the family, but when a woman is earning more, it becomes an issue. Now that you are a woman, and more especially they accuse that profession you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to to say about that because it has been a complaint for sure. People are complaining. What will you advise people on that issue?
What I'm gonna say is, let's be open about finances. And sometimes I think, say somebody was in Kenya, they were a housewife. They come here and now they're making like $70-$80 an hour, or maybe 120,000 a year. You know what happens? Then something shifts, because with money comes what? Power. So what's gonna happen is
but I tell you, I have seen people who are very successful working like that, and they are living happily. They don't have a problem. Is that let people understand that is not, let it not be the reason people are saying that things can't work. It can work. It's only that people need to understand one another.
Exactly.
Yeah, so in such a situation, because it's getting scary, also it can be a stigma to the Kenyan community that some men are killing ladies like that.
Yes.
So, and it could be, I know some of them we run that people maybe were mental issues, but there are things that people need to watch some red flags.
Exactly.
Need to talk about these things.
And stress, mental health, substance abuse, all these are things that we see with a lot of our, people who commit these crimes, or homicides. Because you're thinking, this is a new country that you're in, you're trying to fit in, you're a Black male, right? So those aspects in themselves, like, they may be triggers, for a lot of men, because they feel like, they're less powerful than in Yamira County. If you're addressing people in Yamira County, but here there's nobody to give you a microphone to address
anything. And address.
I know, right?
But ladies also needs to know if a man has come from that situation where he's addressing people, if he was a personal position. Create an environment at home where he has a microphone too. Don't you think so?
I think so. It makes a lot of sense. So give him the power at home.
Yeah, you know he was a prince. Why can't you make him a king of the house?
How could you please expound on that? How do you do that?
If you are earning more than he is earning, why can't you give him the account? You work, let the money go to the account. Leave him to manage the money. if that is making him a king, so that.
Let me tell you, sometimes when people start earning the money, when they're working double shifts and all that, what happens is that's when they separate the account.
No. Let me tell you that there's an example of people who came like that, and the lady became a nurse, but the guy was working he had a good job, not the he was working in an office, but he wasn't earning more money like he was, and the lady realized that the man is getting stressed about it, even asking for extra money to do some stuff. So the lady said, "Oh, my dear, let me work, you budget the money, pay all of the bills, and do this." So you could even go ask him money. The lady who's working, "Can I have money to go and braid my hair?" And the peace came in the house. Don't you think that works?
That works, but okay, so now what? So she would go and ask for money to go braid her hair.
Yeah. We have to know that we came from a situation where men were, we have that phenomenon still of hunter-gatherer. The men were hunters. So if we hear there's no hunting ground, what if you are now hunting? Why can't you give him what you have hunted so that he can distribute the way he used to distribute, so that you can be a king in the house, and then there will be no problems.
You know
My
what?
thought.
Good advice. There you go for Christmas, right?
Yes, it's Christmas advice. Don't you think so? Okay.
I think
I think
we
we
need
are
to
sorry
encourage
about that.
ladies to do that.
And there is also another situation.
Yes.
And we want to talk about the other situation. Another I was stupid about one of the great footballer, Ezekiel Yotum. And I would like you to listen to this clip a little bit.
Yes.
Kama vile alikuwa Otoma anakanika alizaliwa hivyo. This situation ni trauma kwangu, watu wajuange. Kukuwa na mgonjwa si rahisi. Alafu
So yeah, that is Ezekiel Yotuma was a footballer, and he was got a neurological disease, and he died. So that's the wife who was crying there, how it has really drained him. And the people were on the media castigating her that even the money they were contributing, she was making hair, beautifying. And then I think you know something about the family. Well, what can you say about that?
What can I say about that? You know, I mean, first of all, rest in power. Otuma, he looks like he was an awesome soccer football player. In Kenya, he did. I mean, I just watched some of his some of his phenomenon goals that he scored. Very powerful young man. So rest in power, Otuma. So one thing I'm gonna say though is for any man out there, especially, sometimes you can have a very lucrative career, you're a soccer player, you're earning good money. When you get married, make sure that you're able to actually put your things in order, write a will, so that you're not your family is not struggling to make decisions for you when you're gone. Because we've seen people or families where the husband's family will come in and take everything from the house. And if there's no will, I mean, who are you to say no? If there was no will, you know what? Whatever belonged to their son belongs to them.
So in that is a situation which gets everybody, but there is a lineage. People think in most cultures that your husband belongs to his parents and the brothers and siblings before you.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
It has been a notion for a long time. So what would remain in the current time they need to do, as you have said, that they need to put a will, involve your family in your affairs, that they know where your stuff, right?
Exactly.
But the law knows that it has to protect the wife and the children first before.
And the law, sometimes the law doesn't come in until it's too late. Because think about it this way: if you don't have any legal documents to show that you're truly married to this person, maybe you did a customary marriage, you don't have any marriage certificate. Number two, if you don't have maybe it's a come with stay situation, right? And one thing that I think you mentioned this, after 7 years you're considered
married. It's a natural, it's a worldwide. Even if you leave somebody to be crossing on your house to his house for 7 years, he has a right to access if it takes 7 years to do that. So you have to be careful.
It's still funny because now that you say that, even the rental status, if somebody comes and stays with you for how long, what is the the rental status? If they stayed with you for
14 days.
14 days, then you have to go to court to actually evict them.
To a victim. Yeah. That's true.
Isn't that crazy? So
That's
then we
crazy.
really have to be careful. So 7 years is the magic here. So after 6 years, take off.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
But actually, how to divide marriage, that is where it becomes a problem, where the family comes, you are not legally married, and you have not paid dowry. And those things, if they didn't go even traditional way, ladies, you also need to be asking, how are you? Don't be on a situationship, right?
Like we do a situationship, like we
for a long
talked
time.
about.
Yeah.
Those
are some of the issues. And as you have brought that also, we have some situations even in people who live in the desert. You know, like we come from the country of origin, where marriage, if you have lived together, they don't even have that 7-year rule. So long as you stay together, they don't know about situations. You are cohabiting, and then maybe if somebody pays dowry, to them that's a marriage. Traditional marriage, it's dowry. It's not registered anywhere in the government. Now here, people come to United States of America. Now, when they are divorcing, they go to court and then they get a divorce. But still in Kenya, in the country where they have come from, dowry was never returned. They only know the marriage ends when dowry has been returned. So you are here having a divorce degree, but still dowry has not been traditionally there. You are
you're still married. So what do? You go return the cows, right?
You have to.
Okay.
You have to insist that you have to make sure your parents or your brothers who are there, they have to return the dowry.
What if those?
That's when it's absolute.
What if the cows died?
No. You get new ones.
Okay.
Good, not get new ones. Of course, the cows could have not. If you have been in a marriage for 10, 15 years, they are not there.
You know, you make sure you get the same exact ones.
No. Traditionally, if we paid 10 cows and you have 3 children, you are not going to return of them. There are some which would be cut to cater for children. At least even if you return 2, you have still that. That's what I ask you, and I'm saying that those are the dilemmas people have here. They are divorced here, but they are not divorced from traditional. They are not divorced. They need to do that.
They need to do that.
Let us hurry. Our time is fast going. Our last episode before we go for Christmas. There's something that happened in Kisi.
The fiasco.
That is a fiasco. I would like you to listen to this clip. 2 men were, a man and a woman were caught in a lodge, and they were a spell, so they are attached to one another. That's the woman crying because they can't be separated. So, as you hear, they were crying.
Yes.
It was a wife of somebody who was with another man in a lodging. And the man had gone and got a juju from a witch doctor. So, when they were together, they couldn't be separated. You know, it's magical. It cannot be explained scientifically, but it works. You hear, now they had literally to take them to the juju woman. While they were attached, they could not. That's why the lady was crying. He has been attached for a long time. So, what do you think? Now you are from medicine. How do you explain? You know, you are from the medical background. How do you explain that medically now?
You know, I mean, I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked because how do you explain that? And I didn't even know that this juju. I mean, that must be something very spiritual, because really, how does that juju work?
It is.
Wow.
I would want you to see that. That is the Juju woman now is doing something. So, like that, you see, but I at the end, those were separated by that the Juju woman. Now, medically, how do you explain that? You know, at times.
That is a phenomenon. I mean, we really need to do some research on that and consult this Juju woman and find out what did she do exactly, like what happened, because I mean, you know, there is no way to explain that medically, and that's why it's like you know, sometimes when people get sick, you know, there are tests that you can do. Like, you know, for example, if you have symptoms of a cold, I can come and maybe check for COVID. Maybe it's going to be positive. You know, you have a fever. You have, I mean, that is medical. But sometimes here, you know, people would suddenly get sick. Sometimes, you know, we don't have a diagnosis for it. Then people say it's a juju or witchcraft. So, you know, we really need to, I mean, that's a phenomenon that
I think they
explain it.
I think they could have taken these people to KTRH, and they need even to do some X-ray or some MRI to see what really happens. Because I mean, we really need to have some answers. You know, this is not a fiction.
This is not fiction. Yeah,
today. You know, this is something which happened today. That video you see.
Oh my goodness! So who initiated this? So the Juju woman.
The man was suspecting the wife for being unfaithful.
Yes.
And then he went to the Juju woman for medicine. I don't know how they do that. So when the woman had sneaked with her secret lover to some lodging, so as they were caught on the act. So it reached a time that after, like, I don't know, supposedly after penetration, and then they got stuck. Nothing would come out. It was stuck. So it had been stuck for a long time, and maybe they had to make noise. People had to come to help. And then they, you know, as they were taking them, they were not taking them to hospital. They were taking them to the Juju woman.
and how did
I think you saw the incantation she was doing.
I know.
So you had to take them out of the car. Still is doing and you see, this doctor has a clinic with wards. Yes, doctor. You see, Dr. Riziki something. Did you see that sign there?
I saw the sign. So
from your medical perspective, what do you think really happened? Physiological, what will you guess? What theory will you give? How people can get stuck and nothing happens?
You know, one thing I'm going to tell you. So the muscles must have they must have just closed up. That's what I'm saying, because then
so what caused them to do that?
You know, now then we need to go back to this Juju person, because at the end of the day, why does this happen to only women who are cheating, not the men, right?
That's a good question. I've never heard where a woman has gone to put a Juju to a man. Only men do that. Probably men are so jealous. Maybe.
Probably. And you know, one thing I'm gonna say is, you know, in African culture, women are not. I mean, there's no polyandry. You know, women really technically are.
It's only polygamy.
You know, polygamy, yes. So, yeah.
Well, I think that is life is stupid. I tell you. Don't think that I will say we stop here. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Have a nice Christmas.